Haunting truths, what they never told about ancient Egypt's bizarre junk food. Insane revelations, the night was alive with whispers of the past, the air thick with the secrets of ancient Egypt. Imagine a world where people dipped crispy scorpions in sweet honey, where the locals munched on bread that glowed under the moonlight. Sounds insane, right? But it's all true. They say that the food of the ancients was a wild concoction of flavors and oddities, leaving explorers and archaeologists scratching their heads. What kind of people not only embraced but celebrated such bizarre delicacies? Each bite was a mix of pleasure and fear. You never really knew if it would delight you or leave you running for your life. Ancient markets bustled with excitement. Red tents flapped in the wind, hiding strange fruits that looked like nothing you've seen before, glowing purple under the dim light of oil lamps. Vendors shouted with urgency, their voices echoing off the ancient stone buildings. And let us not forget the panicked stories of the cursed chocolate, a treat so sweet it made the heart race but drove some to madness. Scholars debate it to this day. It was the snack that haunted more than just your taste buds. People claim to hear the whispers of long-dead pharaohs urging them to devour more, to taste power beyond their wildest dreams. As we dive deeper, we'll uncover the truth behind the eerie legends. There is something breathtaking yet terrifying about the flavors that compact histories. The mystery don't end with weird recipes. Ingredients were said to have mystical properties. Spices that could cure ailments but also curse your enemies. How wild is that? The shadows of powerful priests loom large over each meal, suggesting only the bravest should partake in these bizarre feasts. What was it about their flavor that could lead to fortune or frenzy? The tension rises. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As we venture on, the most eye-popping tale lies ahead. Imagine a banquet where every guest is either transfixed or terrified. A giant platter, a twisted gathering of delicacies that might elevate the heart or shatter the mind. One fateful evening, a group of nobles tasted an unusual dish. What happened next sent chills through the ages, leaving them frozen in fright. Did the food grant them immortality, or did it summon something far darker? The weight of that night lingers still. Who wouldn't want to know what really happened? The secret banquet was held in a vast hall deep within a pyramidal structure that had stood for centuries, its stones whispering the tales of all that transpired within its walls. Candles flickered like ghostly eyes as shadows danced, creating an eerie atmosphere where laughter mingled with trepidation. Guests, adorned in their finest linen, gathered around a massive table draped in intricate fabrics that whispered of opulence. But beneath the surface glamour lay an underlying current of dread. As the first dish was revealed, gasps filled the air. A flamboyant platter of exotic meats and curious fruit sparkled with an unearthly sheen, almost vibrating with mystical energy. The centerpiece was adorned with sliced, luminescent fruit that pulsated faintly in the dim light. Fruit rumored to have been blessed, or cursed, by the gods. Skepticism brushed against incredulity as the nobles hesitated, clutching their goblets filled with a thick, dark liquid that seemed to glimmer with secrets. One particularly bold noble, an unsung hero in tales of prosperity, reached for the cursed chocolate, its allure undeniable. "Don't!" hissed another, eyes wide with fear. The tales. But it was too late. The chocolate melted on his tongue, sweetness flooding his senses, drawing moans of pleasure that echoed into the night. It was euphoric until it wasn't. Laughter turned to gasps, as around the table, others followed his lead. But suddenly, the air thickened. Whispers spiraled around the hall, wrapping around their consciousness like a coiled serpent. The walls seemed to pulse, and those noble souls who once braved the feast were now gripped by an unspeakable terror, faces turning ashen. Someone fell, clutching their throat, eyes rolling in horror as whispers became screams. "It's the food. The whispers, they want our souls." Panic erupted. Chairs scraped against stone, bodies collided, the once elaborate enchantment of food turned nightmarish. In frantic haste, one of the nobles dashed toward the doorway, the very exit now shrouded in darkness, as if the pyramid itself were swallowing them whole. Outside, the full moon illuminated an escaping figure, but when he turned back, the sight was petrifying. Fiery eyes stared at him, ancient masks of gods taking form, muttering warnings of a hunger not sated. "What is happening?" he cried out, lost in the frenzy of raw fear. The decibels rose, bursting forth with wild energy. The table now bore witness. The food that once promised immortality slowly boiled and writhed, insects crawling towards the unsuspecting, as if alive. Candles flickered out one by one, plunging the hall into darkness where nothing but chaos reigned. What left those nobles shivering with dread seeped through the cracks of the ancient stones, echoing through time, unending, relentless. What exactly happened that night inside those walls? Historians have written volumes, but none have come close to grasping the truth. Something shifted in that chamber of echoed screams, something dark and powerful. And deep in the shadows, whispers continued to linger, enticing future generations to discover the legacy of flavors that tantalized and terrified alike. As dawn crept in, what would come next? Who dared to uncover the truth, and at what cost? The thrill of the chase echoed in every heart. Dare you taste the mystery that binds the flavors with fate? Because still rumbling beneath the sands of the desert lies a secret, a forgotten hunger, and it craves your attention. The sun barely grazed the horizon as the remnants of the banquet lay in a chaotic sea of leftovers and shattered goblets. Silence enveloped the pyramid like a thick fog, but beneath it, the echo of frantic footsteps carved a desperate rhythm in the sand. The noble who escaped clutched at his chest, breathing in sharp bursts as if still haunted by the shadows of his companions left behind. "No! What have I done?" he muttered to himself, catching glimpses of the ancient ruins around him, twisted and gnarled like the emotions raging within. Each step away from the hall felt like a retreat from the very fabric of reality, every breath a reminder of the banquet's horrors. Yet, even as he reached the edge of the pyramid, something pulled at him. It was not just the fear of what he had fled, but an insatiable itch for understanding. The secrets wrapped around the blood-stained dinner table were now entwined with his fate. He had dared to taste power, and in return, it left him marked. A shiver crept down his spine as he glanced back at the darkened entrance, the once inviting doorway now a gaping maw of despair. The air crackled, heavy with remnants of ancient energies. The moonlight seemed to withdraw, flickering shadows dancing in the periphery, teasing his mind, whispers beckoning him. "Come back, we have more to show you." Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, cloaked in darkness, with eyes that glowed like embers. The noble staggered at the sight, his heart racing. "Do you wish to know their fate?" the figure asked, voice smooth, yet laced with an undertone of dread. "Power comes at a price, but knowledge is a deeper hunger." "No," was all the noble could manage, panic gripping his throat. He spun on his heel to flee, yet, the figure moved swiftly, blocking his path with an air of finality. "You cannot run from what you've tasted," the being whispered, each word like smoke curling in the air. "The banquet's curse now courses through you, binding you to its secrets." With each word, a pulse echoed through the stones of the pyramid, vibrating deep beneath his feet. A series of horrifying visions flashed in his mind, his companions, twisted in agony, their faces frozen in terror as they confronted the real horror behind the feast. Their whispers mingled with screams that blurred the line between the living and the dead, each plea for mercy catching in his throat like the repulsive aftertaste of the cursed chocolate. "What are you?" he gasped, heart pounding, sweat beading on his brow. "I am a keeper of the lost," answered the figure, stepping closer, and the darkness around him seemed to swirl like ink in water. "A guardian of the knowledge that binds the worlds. To know the truth, you must embrace what others fear." The noble felt the pull, the gravity of knowledge versus the desire to forget. He wanted to run, yet a strange warmth began to bloom in his chest. Could he unlock the door to the mysteries that brought his kin to the brink of madness? Will you join us? The shadow offered, a menacing smile spreading across its face, promising secrets yet unsaid. Caught between despair and intrigue, dread and hope, the noble inhaled sharply. What hidden truths lay beyond the decisions he must make? Would he plunge into the depths of darkness for the answers? And as the sun's first rays cut through the artifacts of the past, illuminating the hidden horrors within the pyramid, he braced himself. Would he step back into that chaos, toe the line between sanity and madness, or turn away forever, leaving the past buried beneath the sands of time? With the haunting question lingering in the air, darkness crept back toward him, hungry for resolution, and deeper truths awaited just beyond the shadows. The noble stood frozen, heart hammering like a war drum against his ribs. The figure, this keeper of secrets, loomed closer, and the darkness around them seemed to pulse with a life of its own. Each flicker of its ember-like eyes burned into him, igniting a thirst for knowledge that stirred deep inside. "What do you want from me?" he stammered, desperation lacing his voice. The air felt thick, as if the pyramid itself were holding its breath, waiting for his response. "To guide you," the shadow replied smoothly, "to unveil the truth that gnaws at your soul. Your companions, they are lost, yes, but their fate is tied to yours. You cannot escape it." He clenched his fists, nails digging into his palms. "I can't go back. I can't see that again." Panic washed over him, threatening to drown out reason. What kind of torment lay behind those doors? "Not yet," the figure agreed, though its smile never wavered. "But the knowledge you glean here will be your salvation or your doom. Choose." With every heartbeat, the noble felt the weight of the choice press down harder. His eyes glanced toward the gaping entrance. Each whisper of wind that brushed against his skin resonated with the anguished cries of his friends. Could uncovering the truth really save him, or would it lead him to relive those final, horrific moments? "Join me," the keeper urged, extending a gnarled hand from the shadow. There was longing in that gesture, and the noble couldn't help but feel drawn to it. It was as if the darkness promised a taste of forbidden elegance, a glimpse into realms untouched by time. But his heart warned him. He knew well the price of such temptations, his gut twisted at the thought of what lay within. What secrets could the banquet reveal? Were there truths more terrifying than the gruesome images burned into his mind? And might those truths hold the key to freeing his tormented friends? Will you face the horror? Will you confront what they did to each other at the table? The shadow pressed on, voice smooth as silk yet filled with nails. Before he could answer, a thunderous rumble pierced the stillness, echoing like 1,000 voices crying out at once. The ground beneath him trembled and the pyramid shuddered as if awakening from a long slumber. Cracks began to spiderweb across the ancient stone, a fissure of chaos ready to swallow him whole. "Time is not on your side," the figure hissed, gesturing toward the darkened abyss of the entrance. "The banquet is hungry, and it does not relish waiting." For a fleeting moment, the noble thought of fleeing. Turn and run, leave it all behind, his companions, the darkness, the beckoning knowledge. But the flickering shadows of his friends haunted him. Their faces, twisted in fear, urged him to step forward, to take a plunge into the unknown. A heavy breath filled his lungs. "Tell me then," he murmured, voice shaking but determined. "What do I need to do?" The keeper's eyes glinted mischievously. "You must walk into the heart of the pyramid and embrace what the banquet offers. Only then will you understand the power it holds and the sacrifice required to wield it." With resolve settling in, the noble took a step toward the entrance, shadows creeping eagerly around him. Each footfall felt like a step into a void. What awaited on the other side? Were the fates of his companions truly linked to this treacherous path? As he crossed over the threshold, a wave of darkness enveloped him, whispering promises of revelations while fueling an ache deep within. The air turned icy, and laughter echoed from unseen corners, chilling him to the core. What awaited him in this timeless dungeon of despair? The banquet was just the beginning. His heart raced as the feeling of dread twisted tighter. Would his thirst for knowledge lead him to salvation, or had he ventured too far into the darkness? What secrets lay hidden amongst the shadows? Would he emerge from its depths or become forever lost in the terror of unearthing the truth? The air thickened with an unnatural chill as the noble stepped further into the darkness. The shadows writhed around him, alive with whispers that wrapped around his mind like a snake, squeezing tighter with each passing second. A flicker of doubt shot through him. Was this truly where he needed to be? Yet he pushed that thought away. If he turned back now, their faces would haunt him forever. He found himself standing at the edge of a vast hall, illuminated sporadically by an eerie green glow that pulsed with an otherworldly rhythm. The walls were adorned with hieroglyphs that whispered tales of gluttony and betrayal, inviting him to listen closely. It felt wrong, twisted. He dared to look around, scanning the room. What he saw sent a jolt of fear through him. The banquet table stretched endlessly, its surface warped and misshapen. Feast was laid out as if for a king, or a monster. Dishes of lavish fruits glistened with liquid gold, but their beauty was marred by dark shadows lurking in the corners. Was something else hiding there, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself? "Welcome, cherished guest," a voice quivered through the hall, wrapping around him like velvet. It vibrated with a sinister charm, unfurling from the end of the table. A figure appeared, gliding towards him, draped in silks that seemed to flow like liquid shadows. This was no ordinary host, its eyes glittered malignantly, a predatory glint that made his skin crawl. "You've been chosen to witness the true nature of this banquet. Tell me, does your heart drum for the truth?" The voice danced with tantalizing promise, sending shivers through his spine. What is this place?" He stammered, trying to steady himself, but his legs felt heavy, as if the very stones were pulling him down. "This is where legends are born and monsters are fed. The banquet awaits your offerings." The creature gestured grandly towards the spread of gluttonous delights. "The price of knowledge is steep, and you must understand all are not welcome to leave." An involuntary shudder coursed through him. "What do you mean? What do you want from me?" "Only a taste," the figure replied, its smile cold and sharp. "Only a taste of what you fear. Your friends sit somewhere within this pyramid, and their fates lie in what you are willing to sacrifice." The noble's heart raced, a mix of horror and determination surging through him. "My friends, I'll do anything to save them." The words spilled from him in a rush, fueled by desperation. "Then partake. Select wisely, for your choices shall echo through the ages," it cooed, floating closer. Before he could question further, the surface of the table shifted, revealing starkly juxtaposed dishes. Some gleamed with the allure of untold treasures, while others appeared grotesque, an explosion of decay masquerading as delicacies. He glimpsed the images of his friends, their faces distorted in agony. Could he truly turn the tide? His throat tightened as he surveyed the horrifying options before him. Each dish seemed imbued with a piece of their suffering. A wild feeling surged within. Was this the price he was to pay? "Choose," the figure demanded, voice rising with a feverish chant. "Choose your truth and taste the ecstasy of revelation." He trembled as he reached toward a dish glowing with an unholy light, his pulse pounding in time with the shadows that swirled around him. He knew this could seal their fates. Would he have the power to transform horror into salvation, or would the banquet's curse claim them all? As he hovered on the edge of choice, the weight of the moment pressed down like an anvil. The walls closed in, and an icy dread washed over him. What lay beyond this decision was a darkness deeper than he could imagine. He hesitated, heart racing, consumed by the forces swirling around him. Could he bear the consequences of revealing the truth they sought? And in that critical moment, a thunderous noise trembled through the hall. A door he hadn't noticed swung open, revealing a portal into a domain darker still. A realm echoed with the frozen cries of those lost to the shadows. What awaited him behind that door? Would he find his friends or a more dreadful fate than he could fathom? The noble's heart pounded like a war drum in his chest, the rhythm echoing through the vast hall. He had barely registered the door when a gust of wind howled from the dark portal, carrying with it the scent of despair and forgotten anguish. The air shifted, making the hairs on his neck stand on end as he weighed his choices. He turned his gaze back to the banquet table, where the creature still hovered, a gleam of wicked anticipation in its eyes. "Do not let fear cloud your judgment," it hissed, the words dripping with an unsettling sweetness. "Truth is a dish best served raw." The noble swallowed hard, his throat tightening. Was it bravado or reckless folly driving him toward that cursed door? He deafened himself to the whisperings of the shadows, focusing instead on the essence of the invitation. Every flicker in the darkness seemed to pulse with energy, begging him to reach into the night and find what lay hidden within. A cacophony of muffled cries echoed from the doorway, pulling him closer, tugging him like a distant memory he could not shake. The shadows at his back seemed to coil tighter, drawing strength from his hesitation. Each second slipped by, thick with dread, suffocating his resolve. Time waits for no one. Choose. The figure pressed, its voice rising, twisting into something almost animalistic. Or lose them forever. He gritted his teeth, torn between terror and an unyielding determination. "If I open that door, what will I find?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "Only your truth," the creature replied, a feral smile stretching across its face. "And perhaps a canvas upon which to paint their fates." With trembling hands, he stepped toward the door, feeling an invisible force beckoning him. Shadows slithered around his ankles, whispering of forgotten sorrows, of lives lost. What kind of truth might he uncover? Would it lead him back to his friends or plunge him deeper into adversity? With each step, his resolve faltered yet strengthened. He could back down now, retreat to the safety of ignorance, or confront the abyss beckoning before him. Gripping the edge of the door frame, he peered into the void. The darkness was thick, almost tangible, winding around him like a snake ready to strike. He was suffocated by a mist of swirling memories. His friends' laughter now mingled with their cries, echoing in discomforting harmony. Fear clawed at him, but the thoughts of their faces ignited a fire in his heart. Stepping through was almost instinctual, a siren call. As he crossed the threshold, the air crackled and whispered in a tongue long forgotten. He felt weightless, as if he plunged into another realm entirely. Every inclination told him to retreat. Instead, he pushed onward, drawn by the need to unveil the truth. Inside the shadowy compartment, distorted faces appeared, flickering like the flame of a dying candle. Each bore the marks of torment, an anguished scream caught in their throats. "Help us," they pleaded, but their voices were drowned out by the unsettling laughter of the creature still lurking behind him. "Only you can save them," it cooed, purring like a satisfied cat. "But what will you give in exchange?" Suddenly, the mist thickened into a solid form, enclosing around him from all sides, trapping him in an embrace of terror. He looked back, realizing that the door he'd left behind had vanished, replaced by impenetrable shadow. A choice stood before him now. What dark secrets would he have to face to rescue the souls of his friends? He felt the walls of his mind caving in, every echo a reminder of their desperate plight. With his heart pounding and the weight of despair pressing on his soul, he steeled himself. "Tell me what you need," he shouted into the dark, but instead of a direct answer, laughter erupted, dark and chilling, drenching him in fear. Shadows closed in, wrapping around him like a prison, and the air quivered with a madness that felt both intoxicating and suffocating. As he struggled to regain his footing, the darkness shifted, morphing into the figures he'd been searching for, but they were not alone. What had they become? What haunted truths lay buried within the shadows? The noble's breath hitched as he confronted the spectral figures emerging from the haze. Their faces, twisted by agony, seemed to be a grotesque painting of his worst fears, shadows of the friends he held dear. And yet, there was something more, something lurking behind their eyes that spoke of despair and the heavy burden of secrets. "Help us. Please." One voice cried out. It was familiar, a blend of warmth and pain that sent a chill coursing through him. The noble knew that voice all too well. It was Alaric. "Stop!" he shouted, though uncertainty crept into his tone. What did you become? What have they done to you? The distorted figures faltered, their faces flickering like old film. Within the chaos of the shadows, he could feel the weight of their suffering. It wrapped around him, squeezing tighter until he could hardly breathe. The creature sneered, wrapping a clawed hand around the edge of its mouth as if savoring the helplessness in the air. They have become what they must, echoes of your choices, reflections of your fears. But can you bear the truth? Truth? He spat back, almost mockingly. You bathe in lies. An eerie silence fell, thick with tension, as the specters swayed in rhythm, their bones cracking as if rehearsing for a morbid performance. Each gesture echoed the memories he had of them, moments of laughter, shared secrets, hushed comforts before life took a cruel turn. Time is your greatest enemy, the creature hissed, its voice reverberating like distant thunder. It will twist their fates if you do not act. Choose wisely, or they will be lost to you forever. The noble clenched his fists, anxiety gnawing at him. What is the price? He asked, dread pooling in his stomach. Only what you hold most dear, the creature crooned, eyes narrowing with glee. Their lives shall cost you your own. In that moment, clarity washed over him with chilling certitude. How far would he go to save them? Memories of their shared laughter rang in his ears, fueling his resolve. But a deep, unforgiving fear clawed at his mind. Could he give up everything? The darkness pressed in like a feral beast, urging him to choose a twisted game of sacrifice. Alaric's face emerged from the crowd of shadows, eyes reflecting both hope and anguish. Don't listen to it. We're here for you. Their voices blended together in a desperate harmony. He could almost make out their pleas through the haze of despair, their faces longing for rescue, ready to break free of the darkness. What do you mean? He shouted, his heart racing. What must I give? The creature lurked behind, amusement lighting its eyes. You must dive into the darkness within yourself. Reveal secrets you'd rather die than uncover. What shrouded truths lie hidden in your soul? Suddenly, the chamber trembled, shadows swirling violently, grasping like frantic hands. Each spirit blurred, intertwining with the fog of deceit, each breath he took heavy with the weight of impending loss. In that tumult, he caught a glimpse of flickering memory of a face he knew too well, his own cold reflection staring back from the depths of despair. The truth struck like a bolt of lightning. Was it his fears that bound them, or his own darkness that trapped them? What if the real enemy was within? Could he bear the burdens hidden deep, unearthing the harrowing realities of his past? Face it. The creature roared, voice echoing with monstrous glee. Let the revelations pour forth. All eyes locked onto him, demanding his resolve. And in that moment of suffocating choice, he felt something begin to unravel inside. Would he embrace the shadows or let them consume him whole? As the darkness surged and intensified, the very air crackled with anticipation, the fleeting laughter of his friends cutting through the tension like a knife. The choice loomed large, suffocating him with its unbearable weight. Would he shatter and watch them fade? Or could he summon the courage to fight through the pain, embrace the truth, and reclaim the lives that once brought him joy? The noble took a deep breath, heart thrumming wildly. You will know my truth. He shouted defiantly, preparing to unveil what had long been buried, unknown and unacknowledged. But just then, the shadows swirled evermore, blocking the path to his salvation. What revelation awaited him in the dark? And when the truth broke through, would it lead to freedom or further despair? The shadows twisted and turned around him, swirling like a storm that refused to subside. Each spectral face was etched with pain, impossible to ignore. He could sense their desperate pleas, weaving together in a haunting melody that pressed against his heart. Open the door, please. We're trapped. Alaric's voice cut through the tension, a fierce reminder of the bond they shared. But the noble stood paralyzed, the weight of choice bending him nearly double. Could he really face the memories he had repressed? Each face before him echoed a part of his soul he had long since buried. Show me, he demanded, a tremor in his voice. Show me what I must face. The creature loomed nearer, its jagged smile gleaming with anticipation. Embrace the memories. They are the roots that bind your fate. Let us stroll down the twisted corridors of your mind with a motion that felt inevitable. Shadows crept closer, saturating the air with an icy chill that seeped through his skin. The figures shifted, reshaping into scenes of his past, flickers of laughter under starry skies, and moments where joy had danced freely. But then darkness began to weave through these memories like a black vine, choking the light. He experienced that fateful night, the glow of the bonfire fading into chaos. No! Stop it! He shouted, gripping his head as shame flooded in like a tide. Your truth is your prison, the creature taunted, its voice dripping with mockery. See how your darkness has tainted the light. The noble stumbled backward, partially blinded by anguish. There was Alaric, his face twisted with betrayal as he turned away, not realizing it was he who had caused the rift, the promise he had broken. He had chosen ambition over friendship, career over kinship, each step leading to this moment of damnation. No! He screamed, shaking his head against the memories. I didn't mean to. Did you not? The creature's voice slithered around him, wrapping tighter. You could have changed everything, yet chose to cut your ties. The specters began to shimmer and distort, warping and rewriting the memories it had unearthed. Alaric's joyful smile warped into an expression of despair, crying out with voices of the past. Why didn't you save us? The noble gasped as their accusations landed like sharp knives, cutting deeper than he thought possible. His heart raced, as the suffocating reality closed in. Each spirit reached toward him, longing for liberation, but he could feel their pain intertwining with his own. The shadows enveloped him tighter, squeezing out the breath in his lungs. You must choose. It hissed, the excitement palpable. Reveal your truth, and perhaps they may yet be saved. Suddenly, a piercing silence fell, a void that swallowed the cacophony of chaos, leaving only his ragged breathing. In that moment, he felt something crack open within him, a flicker of genuine realization. The darkness wasn't just his fears, it was his responsibility, the weight of his choices pressing down like a boulder. Would he let that weight crush him? Or could he break free? With his heart pounding, he took a step forward, feeling the shadowy tendrils loosen just slightly. I will not run from this, he declared, a newfound determination etched into his voice. It's time to face what I have done. The creature recoiled, surprised by his defiance, but the moment was fleeting. The shadows thickened around him, and he felt reality shift beneath his feet. This revelation, it will change everything. It shrieked, tone suddenly fervent. He prepared to spill forth his truth, to rip open the wounds he wished remained locked away. But just at that moment, as the atmosphere crackled with impending change, a sudden cry echoed from the depths of the dark, distorting and twisting the very fabric around him. Wait! Don't! What other secrets lurked in that suffocating darkness? As he prepared to face what had been buried for so long, a chill raced down his spine. Could this truth be more than he had bargained for, and would it truly lead to their freedom or deepen his own damnation? The air crackled, tension heavy as a storm cloud about to burst. The echoes of despair swirled around him, intensifying with every heartbeat. What was that? He muttered, fear creeping into his voice. The specters paused, their whispers halting as if listening for the source of the cry. Can you feel it? The shadows, they're restless, hissed the creature, a twisted grin stretching its features. What else lies in wait? A deeper secret? A darker truth? His heart pounded like a drum, the pulse roiling with uncertainty. The cry had felt so familiar, like the jagged edge of a childhood memory just out of reach. Was it Alaric? Or something else? Show me! He shouted, desperation threading through his words. What was that voice? The shadows shivered, then began to coalesce into a new scene, a far-off moment, eclipsed by time. He found himself standing before a crumbling monument, the hieroglyphs of a time long gone painted in blood and ash, agonizing carvings that told stories of suffering and betrayal. Suddenly, images flared into life. Burning temples. Soldiers marching with grim expressions. A child's cry pierced through the chaos, raw and haunting. "We are lost." A voice echoed, belonging to a figure draped in tattered robes, eyes wide with terror. "No," he gasped, recognizing the sorrow that had once mirrored his own. Was this his past, intertwined with a legacy that was not his? His hand instinctively went to clutch his chest, breath catching as he stumbled forward. "Fatalism and freedom," the creature crooned, watching him with an unsettling delight. "Your history reveals the horror. Own it, or suffer their fate." Suddenly, the shadows coiled tighter around him, wrapping like a constrictor, squeezing the breath from his lungs. He struggled, but the pressure only mounted. "I want to be crushed. I refuse to hide," he commanded, the fire of resolve rekindling in his heart. With a roar, he lunged into the darkness, willing himself to confront the chaotic visions unfolding before him. The child's scream echoed louder, slicing through the veil of memory. The shadows shrieked in agony, drawing back as if in fear. A sacrifice must be made. The creature bellowed, its jagged teeth flashing under the faint light. "Embrace your truth or they shall remain here forever." Images swirled faster now, his battle with ambition, the faces of Alaric and the others twisted in despair, entwined with that wailing child. "What did I leave behind?" he cried, choking on his own guilt, and then a revelation struck him like lightning. The child, could it be? Was he linked to this? The futility of his choices pressed down like an iron weight. The shadows began to wail, merging into one collective cry of grief, a cry that went beyond his own, a lament so deep it reverberated through the very essence of his soul. "No!" he howled, the truth slamming into him like a train. "I let it happen. I abandoned them all." As his declaration hung in the air, a powerful light surged within him, a flicker of hope battling against the tide of despair. Would this realization set the spirits free, or drag him deeper into the abyss? Suddenly, a flash illuminated the cave, silencing the shadows. A new dimension blazed into view, a path forged through pain and honesty. He took a step toward the light, feeling the shadows quaking around him. "I will fight for them," he yelled, and with that, the very ground trembled. The creature shrieked, but it was drowned out by the roar of truth ascending from within him. Would this newfound strength lead him out of the chaos, or would the darkness unleash its final wrath upon him? And then, just as his foot began to cross the threshold, a sudden gust swept through the cave, propelling him backward, crashing him against the jagged rocks. What was that? A rumble filled the air, the darkness swirling with renewed vigor. What awaited him on the other side of the light and struggle? Would he rediscover himself, or was he destined to be consumed by the very shadows he sought to escape? The shadows swirled furiously, sensing the noble's resolve, yet they hesitated, unwilling to release him just yet. He felt the weight of centuries pressing down on him, a burden shared between the walls of the pyramid and the haunting cries of his friends now forever entangled in the depths of this darkness. "Face it!" the creature shrieked, its fury palpable. "You have the power. Are you brave enough to seize it?" With every ounce of strength he had left, the noble pushed forward, heart pounding, tears stinging his eyes as his memories danced like flames. "I refuse to let you keep them trapped. I'll do whatever it takes." The shadows quivered at his proclamation, aching silence filling the atmosphere. The air thickened, and time felt suspended as revelations rushed in like a tidal wave. Images flashed before him, each echoing the pain of choices made. Alaric's face, twisted in momentary fear, the other nobles, once friends, now lost to madness. The noble felt sickened. It was his ambition that had blinded him, that hadn't he let him see the cost of his thirst for power. He'd sacrificed comfort for glory, and now, it stared back at him from this churning darkness. Suddenly, a warmth blossomed in the pit of his stomach. Hope, catalyzed by his desire to reclaim what had been lost. His friends needed him. He would not abandon them again. "I'll face the truth," he declared fiercely, grounding himself. "Not just for me, but for all of us." With determination gripping him like a vice, he leaped forward into the abyss of memories. The walls quaked, shadows bending to his will, revealing a new path, an opening draped in silvery light that cut through the gloom like a knife. "Embrace it." The creature howled, but its voice trembled in fear now. It hadn't expected this from him, an ember of defiance that challenged the darkness itself. He surged through the opening, adrenaline fueling his every step. Memories wove themselves around him like a tapestry, flashing before his eyes, a child reaching for his hand during a game of leave and seek, the warmth of a friendship cherished. Alaric's laughter echoed, powerful and true, piercing through the fog of doubt. He could feel their spirit love, bond, and strength flowing back to him. Suddenly, he was at the banquet table once more. This time, shadows twisted in panic as he stepped closer, the glint of betrayal no longer holding weight. The once cursed platter now glimmered with possibility. "You're not in control," he declared with newfound confidence. "I am." Gathering his energy, he reached toward the array of luminous fruits, their glow brighter now, vibrant and hopeful. He found the cursed chocolate, glinting ominously, but this time it shimmered with allure rather than fear. "If sacrifice is needed, so be it. I'll face this." Grasping the delectable dessert, he bit into it, feeling sweetness and bitterness mingle. And then, the shadows screamed, the darkness spiraling into chaos as sunlight streamed through the cracks of his soul, illuminating the truth within. A surge of memories flooded him each moment, each choice he made emergent and raw, transforming into understanding. "Your truths are a path. Take back your lives," he cried, strength echoing in the vaulted hall. The spectral figures began to coalesce before his eyes, their forms flickering like fireflies as he poured his revelations into the atmosphere, the truths of friendship, sacrifice, and love. The creature wailed, slashing through the air as if it were a beast wounded. "You'll pay for this." But it was too late. The very essence of the banquet's curse shattered like glass, bursting forth in a kaleidoscope of light that wrapped around the noble, Alaric, and the others, pulling them into a collective embrace of freedom. With each spectral figure enveloped in the light, the cries transformed into joyous laughter, darkness retreating into oblivion as the noble felt the warmth of his friends blend with him once more. They were whole again, surrounded by vibrant energy flowing from the heart of his sacrifice. As the world around them brightened, shadowy remnants swirled into nothingness. Memories became a beacon of light, guiding them all back to a reality filled with hope. The noble grasped Alaric's hand, feeling warmth reignite their bond. "You came back," Alaric whispered through a swell of emotions. "Together," the noble replied, breathless. "Always together." And as the sun set, painting the sands in hues of gold, they stepped forward into a world renewed, leaving behind the darkness free at last. Now, dear friends, it's your turn to take a step forward. The story doesn't end here, and you need to subscribe now so you don't miss the incredible tales we're bringing your way. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep the legend alive. And don't forget to flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about this jaw-dropping conclusion. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this drastic closure. Don't wait even one more second. Only true fans understand the weight of this journey together. Join us as we uncover more hidden truths.